Hello and welcome back to Just One More Watch. I hope you all didn't miss me too much. I thought I'd kick off 2025 with a classic genre top 10 price-based roundup video. The 10 best watches that I think you can buy right now if you have $300 US or the equivalent in your local currency burning a hole in your pocket. Last year I made videos on $100 and $500 US. I'll leave links to those two at the end of this one. But today I thought I would split the difference. In some ways, 300 is a tough category. There are a few compromises that creep in here and there, as you'll see, but there are also some fantastic watches out there. And I found one deal so good while I was researching this video that I bought the watch on the spot, so make sure you stick around for that one. I'll leave links to all 10 watches in the order that I show them in the description of the video to start you off. Let's get on with it. And let's start with one of the hottest and best affordable new releases of the last few years, the Citizen Tsuyosa. Citizen has been on fire recently. They've always made solid, reliable, affordable watches with great warranties, but now they're adding a bit of much needed fun, flair and colour to them as well. The Tsuyosa is their take on the integrated bracelet watch, Citizen's answer to the Tissot PRX, if you will, although to be honest, it doesn't really wear like an integrated bracelet watch. It features a Citizen in-house automatic caliber. Crucially, it features sapphire crystal covering the dial, and it's available in a bunch of different colours now, from bright vibrant oranges like this one to much more conservative blacks and blues if that's what you're after. These are fantastic value, coming in at just over $200 to around $250 depending on your colour version and depending on where you buy it from. If you pick one up from an authorised dealer, you're also likely to get a 3 or even perhaps a 5-year warranty. There is no other affordable brand with a warranty that good. Citizen have always been a sensible choice. Now with the Tsuyosa, they can still be a sensible choice, but also a fun choice too. Alright, next up is a mid-century style dress/everyday wear watch that's now over a decade old and has been refined and refined again to the point that it has reached its zenith. Almost. It's the Orient Bambino. Now, Orient have these long and unwieldy reference numbers like a lot of brands do. Specifically, my favourite is the RA-AC0M04Y, also known as this one. Beautiful parchment ivory coloured dial, lovely blue hands, high quality strap, domed crystal, in-house automatic caliber, and in my humble opinion, of course, the perfect size for this style of watch, 38mm. Look how nicely it fits on my average size wrist. Now, that in-house caliber admittedly is fairly basic, and that dome crystal is also mineral rather than sapphire, so there are a couple of compromises here that I mentioned earlier on. They are reflected in the price tag of only $205 US if you're prepared to buy from a grey market retailer like Joma Shop, and that comes down to only $169 if you want the black version. The other obvious compromise is Orient's insistence on sticking a date complication on all of these watches. There were rumours swirling last year about a no-date version. I guess depending on your own personal usage, perhaps a no-date version would be the actual zenith, but my goodness, that is one gorgeous, timeless, classy watch for a very modest outlay. Now, one brand that simply had to be on a list like this one at this price point is Seiko. Of course, Seiko. They make some of the best known affordable watches. And you can get one of my favourites and still get plenty of change in your pocket from today's budget. It's the SRPE that many people refer to as the Dress KX because it looks, on the surface anyway, a bit like a bezel-less version of their old discontinued SKX dive watch. But actually, it isn't. What it is a very solid all-rounder with a beautiful, comfortable case available in a bunch of different colours with prices starting from under $200. I can get my pick of the colours here in Australia for around 300 Aussie. You can't really go wrong with one of these for that price. It's a Seiko 4R36 automatic movement with a day-date complication. There's plenty of lume on the hands and the indices, and the forget about it standard 100 meters of water resistance, plus you get diver-like levels of legibility. Now, being a well-priced Seiko, you perhaps don't quite get all the specs that you want. The bracelets are okay at best, and the crystal covering the dial is Seiko's own proprietary mineral crystal. Now, that's pretty basic. It will scratch if you treat the watch roughly, but there is a huge aftermarket of mod parts for these, and I have tinkered with my own two-tone, adding sapphire crystal and an aftermarket bracelet. So it's perfectly possible to buy one, wear it for a couple of years, and then refresh it with some new parts if you are so inclined. It's a slightly unassuming choice, this one, but I've always thought this was a far better all-rounder than a lot of people give it credit for. Next up, a slightly longer and slightly more complex entry, but an affordable classic, and a watch that I have been dying to squeeze onto one of these price-based roundups for ages, but it's too expensive for the $100 list and too inexpensive for the $500 list, so here it is today. It's the Seagull 1963. This is arguably China's most famous original design watch. I have made a bunch of videos about this one, including digging into the backstory. The watch you see here is actually based on a prototype made for the Chinese Air Force in the early 1960s using a Swiss-designed mechanical chronograph movement, the tooling for which the Chinese had bought from the Swiss. They still feature that same movement. It's a manual wind mechanical column wheel chronograph, and really it's your only option if you want a mechanical chronograph within today's budget. Anyway, great watches, and nowadays you have so many options with these, including where to buy them from and how much to pay for them. There is an authentic 1963 in inverted commas made by Seagal themselves, but they are preposterously overpriced. Every other Seagal 1963 on the market is therefore a licensed copy, I would say, would be the best way to describe them. Most of them are made by a company called Red Star in Hong Kong. Here's some footage of an original, in inverted commas, and one of these authorized copies, shall we say. Tell me, which is which? Exactly. They are both the same. They're all basically the same. So buy where you feel comfortable and buy at the best price. Let's have a look at the Seagull1963.com website, an entire company devoted to different versions of the watch. Here you can get a 38mm with acrylic crystal, which is the most authentic. You can get a 38 with sapphire. You can then spec on a swan neck regulator for the movement if you really want to. And then they have all of those same options in 40mm and 42mm. Prices on these from just over $300, as you can see. Bear in mind, these wear large and they wear quite thick. I would normally go for a 40 or even a 41 in a different design, but in this watch, 38 is my sizing sweet spot. However, on the basis that they all come out of the same factory in China, you can save yourself $150, $200 by buying the watch on AliExpress instead. Just make sure the vendor has a nice high feedback score, and don't be tempted by the $40 ones. They'll be quartz or some awful, hideous bait and switch trick. Remember, on AliExpress, as anywhere else in life, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. Overall, it's a great little watch. I've said in the past, it's a bit of a must-have for affordable collectors, and I'm going to say that again today. Now, I like all of these watches on the list, otherwise they simply wouldn't be on the list, but this is one of my favourites. It's the Casio Oceanus T200. This is a $300 watch finished like a $3,000 watch, and it makes a cracking choice for someone looking for a no-nonsense grab-and-go solar-powered quartz watch that they can settle into a long-term relationship with. We are max budget for this one though. Oceanus is Casio's Japan-only line, so eBay is probably your best bet. Prices there just over $300. Now, only a 1-year warranty because you are buying from overseas on eBay, but if there's one watch on the list where I don't think you'll be troubling the warranty, it's this one. Not only are they solar powered, but if you live in the majority of North America, Europe, China or Japan, your watch will receive the atomic clock signal, keeping it spot on to the second accurate at all times. The sapphire crystal is so good it looks like it isn't there most of the time. 100 meters of water resistance is good for anything you can throw at it within reason, and there's even a decent amount of lume for 24-hour practicality. It's sized slightly above average though, so do be careful if you have a wrist much smaller than, say, 6.5 inches. Other than that though, it's a real standout value for money offering, well worthy of a place on this list. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, nice list so far, Jody, but where are the dive watches? Keep your hair on, I've got a couple coming up just for you. The first of which even gives you a bonus fourth hand. Now, most of the watches so far on the list have been by big brands, but there's one micro brand watch that makes it into my top 10 today, and it's a collaboration with a beloved retailer. Have a look at the Spinnaker X Islander Bradner limited edition GMTs. I'm sure you're probably aware of both of the brands by now. Spinnaker have been making great value dive watches for a decade, and Islander is the brainchild of the legend that is Mark Franco, one of the nicest guys in the watch community. He has got 4 different limited edition collabs with Spinnaker available on his website at the moment for a frankly ridiculous $219 US. For that, you get a Seagull movement, sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, and an internal rotating GMT bezel. It is one of the larger watches on today's list though, so do be warned. 42 mil in diameter, which is fine, but 50 mil lug to lug and a thickness of 15 mil. That is getting pretty girthy, all things considered. But if you like watches that size, the value for money on offer here is outrageous. And it's a bit of a 2-for-1 at number 7. I'm going to recommend a couple of watches by Orient. Sister watches, if you will. They're pretty much the same movement, same overall build quality, etc, etc. But one is a couple of mil larger than the other. They are the Kamasu and Triton pairing. What separates them from most of the Seiko divers at this price point is the fact that they both feature sapphire crystal covering the dials. Sapphire is much more durable long term than mineral crystal. It doesn't scratch or chip in the same way that mineral does if you treat it poorly. Again, the movements are manufactured by Orient. They are robust and reliable, and the Kamasu has a day-date complication, which is great if you are wearing this one as your main or everyday watch. I'll be honest, the bracelets on both watches aren't amazing, and there's nothing particularly flashy or luxurious about the case finishing, but if you want a solid, sensible dive style watch to wear, then you really can't go wrong with one of these two. They very much took on the mantle of the Seiko SKX when it was discontinued a few years ago as the benchmark entry-level Japanese dive watch. In terms of pricing, you're looking at just over $200 for the Kamasu with its crown at 3 o'clock and $10 more for the Triton with its crown down at 4 o'clock, perhaps reflecting the extra metal involved in its manufacture. Right then, what was the watch that I spotted while researching this video, and I found it at such a good price that I couldn't resist it. I bought it immediately. Well, check out this Hamilton Jazzmaster, available in a range of different colours from Ashford.com. And once you add the vouchers, available for under $300 US. That's an automatic Swiss-made Hamilton with an ETA 2892 movement for under $300. I was pretty close to buying the blue one, and then I remembered that I don't actually like blue watches, so I quickly removed it from my cart and I added the champagne dialed version instead. It was a few dollars more, I think it was $10 more than the blue or the black one, but it was still under budget today. It's 40 mil in diameter, but thanks to that super slim ETA, it's only 8.45 mil thick, or should that be 8.45 mil thin. These are guaranteed to be new and authentic and come with the manufacturer's warranty, but this one only comes with a travel case. At the price I paid, frankly though, I don't care about that at all. It's a beautiful watch, and I have been eyeing up the Jazzmaster line for some time now. And I just bought one for 500 and something Aussie dollars. That is 1/3 of the RRP, hence my immediate purchase. You can expect therefore to see a full review of the Jazzmaster on the channel in due course. How do I follow that? Well, how about another member of the Swatch Group umbrella that's also part of my collection and that really had to be on a list like this today? It's the Tissot PRX Quartz. Another monster affordable hit of recent years, and the watch that brought the integrated bracelet look to the masses for the first time since the 1970s, inspiring the likes of the Citizen Tsuyosa from earlier on. Now, $300 doesn't buy you the auto, it only gets you the quartz, but it gets you one of about 2,000 different versions of the quartz. And that's only a slight exaggeration. There are heaps of colours to choose from, and you get a couple of sizes, either 40mm or 35mm. Plus they even do a digital PRX if you are a pervert. Actually, I am that kind of pervert because I bought the 35mm digital version and it wasn't at all bad. Whatever one you go for, they're all Swiss made with sapphire crystal, they're comfortable with accurate and reliable set and forget movements. If you like the integrated bracelet look, it's a really solid choice from a really solid brand. And finally at number 10, smashing the glass ceiling, if we ignore the Seagull 1963 that I've already featured. It's a Chinese watch brand, an AliExpress watch brand that absolutely deserves a place on this list. It's San Martin. How many times have I said they make the best finished, the best manufactured watches for $300? Lots. So there would be something wrong if I didn't put one on this list, wouldn't there? Problem is there are just so many to choose from. I'm going to steer you towards this one, their SM0116 model, or should that be model range. There are about 20 watches now in this family, all different colours, some three-handers, some four-handers, some bright and colourful, some designed to look like they've been down the back of the sofa for the last half century. Find the one you like, prices from just over $200 to just over $300, depending on movement and depending on version. All are fabulously well made with sapphire crystal, ceramic, sapphire or aluminium bezel inserts, a really nice bracelet, on the fly adjustable clasp and heaps of lume. If you haven't handled one of these for yourself, get one in hand and compare it to a Seiko, an Orient or even a Tissot. I promise you, you'll be impressed with the San Martin. So there you have it, another 10 cracking options for you if you're in the market to add to your collection or replace your daily driver, but you don't want to stretch beyond $300 to do it. With a couple of Orients, a Casio, a Seiko and a Citizen, you can see just how dominant the Japanese brands are at this price point, but Swiss made is by no means out of the question, and Chinese brands have now grown in quality and in standing to the point that they cannot be ignored. If you had to buy one of these and wear it for the next 12 months, which one would it be? And what did you think of my pickup, grabbing one of those Jazzmasters for under $300? I must admit, I'm looking forward to peeling off the stickers, and I'm sure I'll be sharing the excitement with all of you in a future video. Now, I did promise I would leave links to the $100 and $500 roundup video. Pick your price point, knock yourself out. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you again in the next one.